Now the local exchange facing mixed sentiment with Tencent, which influences the bourse via Naspers and Prosus, in the red at the start of the week. Back home, President Cyril Ramaphosa expected to reshuffle his cabinet. Well, let's talk about these and other business matters, and let's speak now to Karl Gevers, independent markets analyst. Karl, good morning to you. Let's start with your quick overview of how the markets are faring in early trade.
Yeah, good morning, Koli. So the markets, local market, the JSE All Share down, opening about 0.5% down this morning. We've seen the rand quite a bit weaker, about 2% weaker, on the back of a stronger dollar. So it's mainly macro factors affecting it there. But generally that would support the rand hedges like the resource sector. But we've seen that under pressure, down 1.2% this morning, mainly on the back of we've had some production issues from some of the miners, like the platinum miners, on the back of lack of power. So I think those coming through to play. But across the board, down, as you mentioned, also Naspers pulling the industrial sector down.
Yeah, let's talk commodities now. Gold prices regaining some ground this morning, but a firmer dollar is clearly a concern. Add to that the U.S. Federal Reserve, which might keep hiking interest rates, keeping the bullion below the key 1,900 an ounce dollars at level. Help us make sense of these market developments.
Yeah, so on Friday we saw the gold price come under quite a bit of pressure after the data out of the U.S. showed that the U.S. jobs accelerated sharply, and thus the jobless rate hitting a low point. And what this means is that, as you mentioned, the Fed might continue, that should encourage them to continue hiking rates to fight inflation, and higher rates would higher rates for longer, for that matter, are good for the US dollar because you're earning a better yield, investors earning a better yield, and not good for gold because of that opportunity cost for a non-yielding asset. So I think in terms of that, the pressure will remain on the gold price for at least for the near future until there's a bit more line of sight there.
Yeah, let's talk company news. MTN officially off the hook for that surprise 13 billion rand tax bill in Ghana, with that country's authorities withdrawing this particular claim. Help us make sense of that.
Yeah, so MTN was slapped with that 13 billion rand tax claim in January by the Ghanaian officials, or by the taxman in Ghana. And then this has now been totally withdrawn. Initially it was temporarily withdrawn, but it has taken some intervention from our international relations minister, Minister Pando. I think it's generally a risk in operating in a lot of emerging countries where the countries end up needing tax revenue and find sources where that could be possible. So we've seen this in Nigeria with MTN themselves as well, and the likes of MultiChoice. So I think from an investment risk point of view, it certainly always just reminds investors that there is risk in operating in these countries, even though there is opportunity.
Yeah, let's conclude the conversation with OneLogix, which is making headway in its plans to delist from the JSE. Talk us through what a delisting process entails and how far OneLogix is.
Yeah, so in short, the delisting process would be someone buying out the existing shareholders and taking the company private. In this case, management has formed a consortium, call it a bidco, and that is buying out, made an offer to all the remaining shareholders to buy them out at, I think it's 3.30 rand per share. So normally that's at a premium to what the share would have been trading at. And in this case, OneLogix, not seeing the benefits of remaining listed, given the lack of liquidity and also in the current market where valuations are pretty depressed, not seeing the benefit of being able to raise capital and probably not needing capital anytime soon. So that in the next, I think by the 21st of Feb, OneLogix would be delisted, and investors who had the share would have been paid out their R3.30 by then.
Yeah. Karl Gevers, let me thank you very much for that markets update. Independent markets analyst there.